All right, guys, Dani Williamson here, and I've got Debra Atkinson with us. It is Sunday night, and that means it's Sunday night service, and you guys are going to be blown away tonight. As soon as you get logged on, hit your heart buttons, hit your like buttons, tell us where you're from, and post your questions up here. And if you are a female, even if you're not perimenopausal or menopausal, this is the Sunday night service for you. I mean, I'm telling you, this woman, I've got patients who work with her, and they have told me for 2 years, you need to get Debra Atkinson on here because, Dani, we're not getting any younger. And she has nailed down the menopause workout for women and perimenopause. And Debra, I am so excited to have you on here tonight. I mean, most of you, not all of you, are women on here, and you complain to me, you tell me I'm tired, I'm gaining weight, I'm working out 4 or 5 times a week, Dani. I swear to you, I'm eating clean, I'm doing all the things you asked me to do, I've decreased stress, I'm cultivating community, I'm pooping great, I'm sleeping well, but I'm still gaining weight. And tonight, this woman has really nailed down some of the issues that we're dealing with and why we're doing that. So we're going to get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, though. She is an amazing woman. She is an expert. She's a fitness expert. She's a best-selling author of You Still Got It, Girl, and Hot Not Bothered. That's the best name ever right there. She's the host of the Flippin 50 podcast, which is huge. It's got over 1 million downloads. Her TEDx talk, by the way, guys, is fantastic. Everything women in menopause learned about exercise may be a lie. You need to listen to it. It's, I think, 18 minutes long, and it's fantastic. She's a 37-year fitness expert in the world of fitness. She's a prior senior lecturer in kinesiology at ISU. She's the founder of Flippin 50, which is the very first online-only fitness membership dedicated exclusively to us, to women in menopause. Oh my gosh, Debra, you nailed it here. She's the creator of Flippin 50 Fitness Specialist, the Flippin 50 Fitness Specialist course, good Lord, for fitness and health coaches. Debra, I'm so excited to have you here. And she lives in Scottsdale, where we think it's hot in Tennessee. It's really hot in Scottsdale. So thank you for being here on Father's Day, by the way.
Well, yes, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I love it. I feel left out, though. I feel like by the end, so I adapt so quickly, I may have an accent by the time we finish.
You may. I lived in New York City for 3 years, and I never lost my accent. Every time I opened my mouth, everybody turned their head, looked, and who's that redneck over there talking? But I never lost my accent, and I probably won't ever do it. But girl, tell us. I mean, how did you even get started on this journey?
I know. Well, it starts way back when, for sure. Starts in, I was in college, and I had one foot in graphic design, actually, and the other in exercise science is what it was called at that point. And I had suddenly realized I was going to be a graphic designer all growing up, all constantly drawing, painting. And I realized, I had started this first ever self-initiated fitness program right before I went away to college. And suddenly I was feeling like, I don't belong here, because all graphic design students smoke and drink and stay up all night to do their projects. And I'm like, I'm not liking it. I don't fit in. I don't want that lifestyle. And, so I tried a bunch of coursework in another department, kept some over here. And by the end, I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm changing. And I want to do what those teachers did for me, was inspired me. And it wasn't about what motivates all of us first, I think, and even my 87-year-old mother, this was true for her too. We're motivated because we want to look better. We want to fit into the dress. We want to feel more confident. Generally we want to look better, sleeveless or something. And I really don't care anymore. Because it's a 2-for-1. If that gets you motivated and started, you get the other benefit. We're going to make you codependent on the other end, and you won't stop because of the other things. But that's what I wanted to give people, the power and the confidence to be who they are and use their skills and their talents. And I couldn't dig into that more than I do right now. The mission, the bottom line behind Flipping 50 is, I think there is no more powerful health influencer in the world than a midlife woman. 3 generations are looking at her. Nobody else has that power in the world. No one. So if you do it, and if you struggle to give that time to yourself, think about the eyes on you. You're modeling, you're role modeling every day.
Oh, yeah, that is a fabulous way to look at that. 3 generations looking at you.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I never thought about that. Wow. Well, tell me this. So as I mentioned when we were coming on here, that my patients tell me all the time, Dani, I'm exercising. I swear to you, I've picked up my exercise. I'm eating well. What are we doing? What are we doing? How are we negatively influencing? Clearly our hormones. I mean, if, by all this exercise, what's going on? How can we positively influence our hormones, and what are we doing to negatively influence our hormones during this season?
Yes. Okay. So the biggest thing I think for all of us who are, flipping 50, even late 40s, but definitely 50 and beyond, we've heard our entire lives. We've heard this driving home: eat less, exercise more, eat less, exercise more. Yes. And so our idea of I'm doing all the right things may be skewed. And I'm preaching to the choir, but when we're more sensitive to the negative effects of stress as we go through menopause, exercise is stress, dieting is stress, and we just had a pandemic. Hello, and what did that do to our stress levels? And then we're also those 3 generations. We are the sandwich generation, so our kids may still want our credit card. Our older aging parents need our attention. I mean, we've got a lot going on, and we're then suddenly thrown into this. Oh, and by the way, we're going to give you all these physical changes and make you feel totally out of control and alienated by your body. And that's kind of what's happening. So when you're carrying around this backpack and it's emotional stress, financial stress, little work stress, kids and your parents, that kind of stress, then you throw in, but I'm gaining weight. So what I know worked before is more exercise and less food. And there's no denying diets work temporarily, right? So the diet industry would not have been successful if that weren't true. But a lifetime of what most women do is, the fact is, when we lose weight, we lose a % of muscle. We lose fat and we lose some muscle. And it's a sliding scale. So if you're really careful, you're eating more protein and you're doing resistance training so you lose less muscle, then it's not so bad, and you can lose that weight, maintain your metabolism, and potentially hold your own. You have a new steady state. But if you are not strength training, or you weren't when you began dieting as a young woman, we didn't really know, we didn't really get that message. We were all in the group fitness room doing aerobics, right? Or we were on the Stairmaster doing lots of cardio because we thought that would burn fat better. And some of us still do. So I hope by the time we're done, that's not the truth anymore. But all of those things, trying to burn more calories, trying to stop eating more calories, stressing your body, and then that cycle over and over again of lose fat and muscle, regain 100% fat. And then we do it again, lose fat and muscle, and then regain 100% muscle over and over again. That has slowed our metabolism, decreased our muscle, and increased our % body fat. And that's not metabolically active tissue. So the good news is it's not too late. There is proof that into our 90s, our mid 90s, starting to strength train and do the right thing, you can make muscle and strength gains. So never too late.
Whoa. into our 90s. I had read one time, I think I'm going to say this right, I'm not sure, I just thought about this, that after just 3 cycles of dieting, whatever it is you're doing, 3 cycles of it, you lose weight at half the speed or half the rate, and you gain it back at twice the rate. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you are saying that right, because of that ding to your metabolism every time. And let me say this optimistically or clearly so that you all understand, even if you do it well and you do it correctly, if you were 200 pounds and you lose weight, you're now 150, you still have a slower metabolism simply because you don't weigh as much. That is going to happen. So you will have to be active. You will need to watch, what you're doing at your table and your plate. And that will be necessary, but activity and the right kind is what matters. So I think that's what we need to get into, is talking about the difference between which is more valuable to you right now. And just bottom line, the answer is, spoiler alert, strength training is a girl's best friend. Strength training is a girl's best friend. If you have, I haven't done any cardio for a while and I'm due for strength training, which should I do? Every time, strength training, hands down. That's your goal.
Really? Well, that was one of the questions I had on here. What exercise would be most important for us during menopause?
Strength training, because that is the only thing, and literally this is the only thing that can boost your metabolism without accelerating aging. So all the cardiovascular activity that we used to get away with in our 20s and our 30s, now it's actually causing more oxidation, more exposure of free radicals in your body. So a little bit is okay. We want some of that. We want some heart healthy, get yourself breathless, do some walking, low level walking, and decrease your stress level. But most of all, we want strength training, and we want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. But here's the caveat. So I've got clients who are in our community and they say, well, if strength training is the holy grail, why don't we do it more often? And that is like the 1980s girl in 1980 wants that back. Okay. So more is not better. That's just that mentality that we've always had. We've always been taught it. So less exercise ultimately, but better. We have to make it higher quality. And because you're over 50 does not mean you're delicate. You are not a flower. And I would have you all look at all the things you've lived through in your life. And many of you here create human life, right? I mean, you've been through a lot, and giving birth, you think that was hard, and then you have to raise them. That's harder, right? I mean, you've been through a lot. You are not delicate. And so the words adequate intensity appear in the research about exercise that positively influences menopause over and over and over again. It's like, yes, it can help decrease hot flashes, either the intensity or the frequency or both, but provided it's of adequate intensity, it can help boost mood, decrease depression, decrease anxiety. But again, provided it's of adequate intensity, and can really change your body composition if you reach adequate intensity.
So how do we know when we've reached that? So let's say we don't go to the gym, right? We're at home. Explain it to us. Weight training. What is adequate intensity?
Yeah, so adequate intensity is reaching muscle fatigue. And this is a really good distinction that we should make. So the word fatigue, when we're talking about menopause, is a lot of times appearing in the same sentence, but not for the reasons I'm suggesting right now, right? So we don't mean get overall tired. Like if you define your workout because you walk out of that room and you could wring your shirt out and you're exhausted and you're just gonna lie on the couch the rest of the day because, oh, I worked out today. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. It's causing adrenal kinds of fatigue. We have to remember the goal of exercise is to get better at life. not to get better at the exercise itself, right? So if it's not helping you have more energy, making you feel like I want to, and maybe you all don't do this, but I want to clean the house. I want to, not just watch the kids. I want to play with the kids. I want to, do those extra few things in the garden. I actually have the energy and the desire to do that. And when somebody calls and says, you want to go play golf, I'm going to say, yes, I'm not too tired. I'm up for it. Those are the things that you want to watch for. And you should be sleeping better, not more disrupted. You should have a good appetite, but not cravings. And I don't know, Dani, if this is true for you, but I find with a lot of clients that I'm working with, they actually don't have much of an appetite when they should, and so sometimes exercise can really help that. And to me, that's a sign your metabolism's not working very well. If you're a high functioning woman, you should be ready for breakfast. You should be ready for lunch. You should not want to eat the house. You should be able to, not have cravings in the middle of the afternoon, but be satisfied, have a stable energy. All those things also point back to, is my exercise of the right amount, right volume, and right intensity, and helping me?
You bet. I tell patients every day, if you have to go home and take a nap after CrossFit or Iron Tribe or whatever you're doing, you've got the wrong exercise. I mean, hands down, it should give you energy. And you touched briefly there on eating, because you always tell people, because I watch your things, eat more, exercise, move less, or exercise and movement. I don't know if you distinguish.
Yes.
What's the difference? Because I try to say, I'm trying to work on my wording with patients, because I always ask, what do you do for exercise? Well, now I'm trying to say, and I forget half the time, what are you doing for movement? What are you doing? So talk to that, speak to that about your eat more, move less, or exercise less.
Okay, hold me to that, but let's come back, because I feel like we might have skipped over fatigue. And I just want to make sure everybody understands. So the difference between strength training that's really effective and that is just there, like you check the box and put it on your list, or one that is really effective is that at the end of every set, let's say we're talking, you're going to do a chest press, and if you're not sure what that is, you're going to do a push-up, and don't worry if you're not doing a push-up, don't go there in your head. You're going to do 3 sets of 15 of them. By every single set, the first one, the second one, and the third one, you need to, at about repetition 13 or 14 and 15, you need to be thinking, gosh, this is getting heavy. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that last one. And you're really glad if you make it that you can put it down. That's reaching muscular fatigue. Lachelle, hello. Oh, so now I know. I couldn't ask who it was because of confidentiality. So there we go. She told me. Thank you so much. So that's what we mean. And women in the past, we've all maybe gone and we had our first exposure to strength training in group fitness classes. And you're kind of following an instructor, but maybe it wasn't designed for you because there's 25 or 30 people in the room, and of course it wasn't, right? So you don't know exactly what weights to pick up, and the instructor is watching 30 people. She doesn't know. And so we have been in the habit of, okay, that's the last one. Now put them down, go on and do the next one. But we could probably, if I would have said, could you do 5 more? We could say, yeah, I could have done 5 more, maybe 10, right? So we've got to get it heavy enough that we reach muscle fatigue. And for those of you who are worried when I say heavy enough about getting hurt, totally understand it, because by the time we're here, I used to laugh when I was working. I was younger and working with 40-year-olds because I would hear them always say, you know, get up in the morning and we got to check the shoulders and the knees and say, is it going to be a good day today, right? Because usually we've had some kind of an accident or an exercise accident or just other kind of accident, or we've got a little osteoarthritis and we've got a little TLC. So we do want to be careful we've got good form, but you want to be sure that you pick a repetition range that is healthy. So heavy is really 10 or fewer repetitions. And that's where a lot of the great bone density benefits are had, but not everyone can do that. And no one should start there. We all start easier and we progress over weeks, even months to get to that point. So it's laying a foundation down, but then it's, you know, really light if you are doing rehab. Some of you have had to be in physical therapy. You may do as many as 25 or 28 repetitions with a really light weight, but we really want you kind of in that middle range. So I love, you know, 15 to 20 because it's heavy enough to do some good. It's not so light that we're going to wear your joint out doing all those repetitions. There's a sweet spot right there in the middle. So reaching muscular fatigue at the end of every set, no matter whether you need to go light or you can go heavier. That's really the ticket to getting the overload and the stimulus in the muscle so that between your Monday and your Thursday workout, your muscle responds. Your muscle basically was stressed during that exercise and it broke down a little bit. And so between, it says, you know, we were under threat and that could happen to us again. So we're not just going to get as strong as we were on Monday, we're going to get stronger. That's how over time, what you thought was heavy is no longer heavy to you. And now you pick up the 8 pound instead of the 5 or the 10 instead of the 8. And that's how it works. The rest is as important as the work. Yeah.
Yes. Is there a sweet spot on how many days we work out?
So glad you asked that question. So LaSheel could volunteer the answer here. This is just a pop quiz for you, girlfriend. How many days a week do we strength train, LaSheel? Mm-hmm. Tell me. Preach it, girl. So here's the research, and this is done on, and by the way, everything that I do at Flipping 50 is 100% based on research about women in menopause.
Good.
So really important that you hear this, that you're not a mouse and you're not a 25-year-old man or an athlete, and you're not even a young woman anymore. You don't have the same hormone profile, metabolism, or body composition that they do. So we can't extrapolate research necessarily that was on elite athletes that were 25 and say, oh, that's going to work for us. Why would we ever think that? And there she is. I knew she would come up with it. Okay, good. All right, so I need to give you a bonus for something, Alicia. I'll figure out what that is. The research on women in postmenopause looked at 1, 2, and 3, and I pull this particularly quite a bit, but there's lots of studies that back it up. And once a week, we can all guess that's not enough. That's not enough to help you get stronger or have more endurance, right? Because then you're really just starting all over again. 3 times a week. And like most, you know, respectable American women who are here would say, well, more is better. So it must be 3, right? I mean, that's what we do, but not true. So I described, you know, when you lay on the couch, because I worked out today, so I'm not gonna do anything. And, you know, could you bring me the remote? You know, that kind of thing. That kind of, I call that couch compensation, is what happened when they took postmenopausal women. They had them do 3 times a week. They were just spending less energy the rest of their day. So you want to think about the exercise you do, that half hour or an hour a day, cannot compensate for the other 23 hours of the day. You should still be an active person, and that's where movement comes in, Dani. So that half hour of getting breathless or that half hour of strength training, that's your exercise, but it's supposed to make you want to be a mover all day. Standing at your desk, getting up, moving around the kitchen, being motivated, knowing that closet needs to be cleaned out, and actually feeling like, I just want to do it. I just want to take care of it. I just got the energy. I'm going to do it. And that's really how you want to feel. That's movement, cleaning that closet.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. Was she right about HIIT training twice a week?
Yeah, HIIT training, really, you can go once, you can go twice, you can go 3 times. I find that for our community, twice is the sweet spot, and there's multiple reasons for that. But one is, I think we need to do it twice because then it's more of a habit. It's that regular. Once a week is not quite enough to feel like it's a habit. It would be too easy to miss it, right?
That's right.
3 times a week also works, but you think of this as it's like a payroll. So I'm going to pay you 45 minutes a week of HIIT, and you have that to work with. So you could do 3 15-minute segments, or you could do 2 20 to 25-minute segments, or up to that. And you don't have to spend all that 45 minutes. But the reason it's 45 is because, think about when HIIT started, and we all thought maybe that's a trend, right? Or that's a fad. And, it's stuck around long enough that we know it's here to stay. And we know there have been tests on everybody, including postmenopausal women, that it's actually very effective for supporting fat burn and doing so without risking injuries. So a lot of the tests for postmenopausal women are done on bikes. So it's very safe. It's not crazy. It's not burpees. It's not injurious. And what we know is that at 45 minutes, the injury rate goes up dramatically. So if you're doing more than that a week, thinking, well, it's fat burning, so I'm going to do more, right? Because there we go again. If a little is good, more must be better. And if I do, 8 workouts this month, I'll get more results. Honestly, potentially you won't, because again, it comes back to cortisol. We spike that cortisol, your body's going to say, oh no, I'm going to store fat instead of burn it.
That's exactly right. You are so right. I actually am seeing a patient tomorrow, and she's doing exactly that. She's storing cortisol. I mean, she has gained 28 pounds the last 3 years, and I'm gonna turn her on to you tomorrow, because that's maddening to me. Trying to that cortisol. Of course, guys, you all already know, if you're part of my tribe, you know cortisol. I talk cortisol all the time. It's those tiny little walnut-sized glands that sit on top of your kidneys that shoot out cortisol and epinephrine, norepinephrine. I mean, all the stress hormones in your body. And it's a stressor on you. It's a stressor on you to not eat enough. It's a stressor on you to eat too much. It's a stressor on you to exercise too much. The body doesn't know the difference, though, between good and bad stress, really, right. And so, yeah, I'm so glad to hear you say this. So when we're talking about weight or strength training, well, what's the difference? Is there a difference between weight training and strength training, or is it the same thing?
It's really the same thing. And a lot of people, there's another word, we'll throw this out just so that everybody's got them all covered: resistance training. So, and yet there's probably resistance training is kind of an umbrella, and a lot of things would fall under that. So bodyweight exercises, free weights, meaning your dumbbells, ladies, or, as it was during the pandemic, it ended up not being dumbbells. For a lot of us, it was water bottles filled with rocks and sand and water, and backpacks filled with books. We can get creative. And here's the thing: your body does not know what shape that weight is in. It does not care. Right? So don't worry about the fancy weight or the. I'm also humored sometimes by kettlebells being such a big deal, and it's like, it's just a dumbbell in a different shape. So don't get too tied up in that whole thing. So really important that you make that distinction, that it's, the lifting of weights and against resistance. And I want to clarify. So I said body weight. Some of you may be familiar with bands and tubing, and I can answer my feelings on that if you'd like me to.
Please.
There are suspension tools. TRX is a brand name, but there are all different kinds. So I've got feelings about them, and they come from,
I have a band on my backpack. Yeah, that's just on my backpack. If I'm just, I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about body weight exercises. And, if I gave you that rule of thumb, reaching muscular fatigue at the end of a set, you can probably reach muscular fatigue at the end of a push-up, right? A set of push-ups, you'll find some point where I can't do anymore. And for a lot of us, unfortunately, that's very few. We can't even move our own body weight. But here's where I don't love body weight only workouts, because we're very limited by what we can do. And there are no pulling exercises really that very many women can do. If you could do a pull-up, I would love that. And we all need to, but we need pulling kinds of exercises much more than we need pushing, because we are already tight and rounded and closed down. And so when all you're doing is body weight, and you're doing push-ups and maybe squats and lunges as well, or dips, there are a lot of injuries waiting to happen in some of those. And I'm always doing this, it's risk or reward, which is better. And if there is an exercise that has a high risk and there is another one that has a lower risk, I am going to go for that one every time with a woman who's over 40. Because why would we beg or borrow injury if we could do it safer and accomplish the same thing? And that means some of the things I do have a little less variety than other programs you might see. I don't do variety for variety's sake. If there's not a reason to do an exercise, if it's just fluffy for variety, I generally am not doing it. You're just not seeing it. So if you're looking for bar and, bar infused with hot yoga and Feldenkrais, you're not going to get it at 250.
Oh, I love that. Okay, listen what Lachelle says here. So she says, I was that person that did spinning 5 days a week and wondered why I couldn't sleep and belly fat. Yeah. Well, you mentioned something that I wanted to touch on briefly, is the pandemic. You just briefly said it when we were talking about trying to fill up water bottles with sand and all the things when you couldn't find weights. So what do you think? What impact have you seen on women during this pandemic? Because, I'm assuming your business probably has gone up.
Yeah, we're a little busy, aren't we? Lachelle knows our membership is growing. So I'm depending on people like her to turn around and help those newbies get initiated. So no pressure, Lachelle. But it's been, and I think right now everybody, the reality is sitting in. It's like, oh, things are opening back up, and then we're taking a look at, I've got to get out of those yoga pants. And, this is not quite what I envisioned. But here's what happened, and not just from me, but two big studies that have come out with two very recognizable sources. Journal of American Medical Association put out a study earlier that showed, this was based on smart scale users, which I find totally ironic, because you would think a smart scale user is tuned in to what's happening and watching and observing and doing something about it. But apparently, no, we were just watching. So based on watching smart scale users using the Bluetooth technology to track them, they realized that the average weight gain for the average subject in their study was 51. We'll come back to why that's so relevant, right? Okay. 1.5 pounds a month. So by May 2020, that's 20 pounds average weight gain by someone who regularly weighs and monitors their body weight and fat. And so what is that? That was a study, by the way, of men and women. But the average age of that study subject was 51. For a woman who's 51, that's the average age where menopause hits, where that's your 12 months since your last period. In those couple of years of perimenopause leading up to menopause and those couple of years post-menopause, we have accelerated loss of muscle that can happen and accelerated loss of bone. And if you were right there during the pandemic. I'm talking perfect storm, right? If you couldn't access weights, you weren't at the gym, you weren't lifting weights during that time, it's time to regroup right now. I'm afraid, my biggest fear is that in 8 or 10 years, we're going to see some repercussions. We'll see this wave of more accelerated osteoporosis diagnosis, more people at risk, more frailty happening sooner than it should, and unnecessarily, really. And so that was one study. The next study was American Psychological Association. They did a much broader study. So it was 18-year-olds to 65-year-olds, also both men and women. But the numbers are no better. They ranged from 15 to 29 pounds weight gain. We're in trouble because let's just, gosh, do you think that was fat or do you think that was muscle? I mean, you come to your own conclusions, but I'm thinking that's probably not muscle. And so we need to get the muscle on and not focus so much on the weight loss, the fat loss, because I know that's where our mind goes. That's my goal. That's my number one goal. But we don't have control over it. We can't decide, I'm going to lose that 1 to 2 pounds a week that they promised me. We can't decide to do that. We can control the actions, but we have much more control over gaining lean muscle and the things that you can do. So the other thing I would tell everybody here is, I think the number one thing that will tell you and give you feedback about your habits, your strength training, your HIIT, your diet, and how that's impacting your muscle is a smart scale. Get a scale in your home that measures your, not BMI, don't confuse that, but body fat. Tells you what's your body fat percent. And if that's all it does, you can figure out how much muscle you have from that.
Do you have a brand that you like, or do you have one on your website that you prefer that would?
Yeah, I have. And actually I picked 3 price ranges of them. So I have one I really like, and I used to pre-pandemic send people to find an InBody at a gym or a doctor or a nutrition office. And there you stand on, it's non-invasive. You put your hands here and it measures it in 10 seconds. And it's a really sweet printout. You can buy one for at home that's around $300. If you don't have a house full of people and you feel like that's quite an investment, you can get one for around 25 or around 75. So flipping50.com/resources gets you to my Amazon page where I've got those 3 brands. You can take a look at them and shop. There's a lot of them because I am hoping anyway that a lot of people are telling you to do just this. Have it at home because that is a very easy way to measure what are my habits doing to my body.
That's exactly right. Are you a believer in weighing every day, getting on that scale every day? What are your thoughts? Because I usually do. It doesn't cause me any stress, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think you've got to find your own sweet spot. Sure. So I've got clients that, absolutely, I've get that scale out of your house right now. I mean, because it's just detrimental. And let me know if any of you, so here, resonate with this. But I've had clients, I meet with weekly, and they're, coming in and they may weigh once a week, same time of day, and same status. That's really what I would recommend for the majority of people. There's some people like you, Dani, that can weigh every day, and it's okay. And it's just giving you feedback on, what the food you ate yesterday did to your body. Did you have a lot of sodium, or are you dehydrated? All those things can show up. And if you like that and you can just go with the flow and know, your body could fluctuate, up to 3 to 4 pounds on a day for various reasons. And that doesn't mean it's there to stay. But I have clients who will come in and they'll report and they'll tick down, I am sleeping better. I have so much more energy. I can't believe the cravings are gone. My libido is back. And so I thought I must have lost weight. And I got on the scale and I lost nothing. And then, I'm like, did you hear yourself? I mean, we were just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it was like, why would you give the scale that much power, right? I mean, and that was before smart scales were really out, and so we were just looking at the number, the weight. But you've got to realize you will be losing fat and gaining lean muscle if you're strength training. So spoiler alert, if you strength training, your weight loss will slow down. It won't be as fast. However, you put on that same pair of pants every week. That's a better measure for you of if you're changing, your inches are changing, and I call that the poor woman's scale, right? So if you can't get a smart scale and you're looking at your weight and you're measuring, that's another way to know.
Yes.
Weight stayed the same, but my inches improved. That's a sign body composition is changing favorably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me this, do you work out in the morning? What do you recommend? I mean, because I prefer the morning, but my mornings are crazy. And I get up at 4:50 and I go to work. I start seeing patients at 6:45. When I work out in the morning, I feel much better. And I know what the research shows on that. I mean, your metabolism's better, you think better, you just are better. But what are your thoughts on this? What do you tell your clients?
Yeah, so, and this is falls under the realm of hormone balancing as well. So there are 10 tenets. It's like the 10 commandments really at our house. The 10 tenets of Flipping 50, and the number 2 is intense early, light late. So using that alliteration to remember. And the reason is the cortisol, Dani. So cortisol, is up in the morning. And so it's counterintuitive. So a lot of women would think, well, then why wouldn't I want to exercise late in the afternoon, right? But literally you want to exercise because exercise elevates your cortisol as well. And cortisol is used for the energy in the exercise. So you will spike it a little bit higher, but what we get then is that corresponding drop that we want later. So it comes down and it cycles. The thing that is, if you're doing okay, we don't fix it if it's not broken kind of girl, okay? So if it's working for you, fantastic. You're probably doing a lot of other things right, and that will work really well. But if you are, for instance, you're already not sleeping well, you're, already getting up in the morning feeling like you had a hangover and you did not have the wine the night before, you didn't have the fun, that's a sign that you really want to color inside the lines and work on, if you're going to do intense exercise, it should be earlier in the day for you. Because late in the afternoon, if you try to do that high intensity exercise, whether it's CrossFit or it's just high intensity interval training, your body doesn't have that cortisol. It's already coming down for the evening, right? But it will beg, borrow, and steal from another hormone, pregnenolone, to make the cortisol. And you'll say, Debra, I exercised, I did it, I felt fine. What are you talking about? But when you go to sleep, your body may say, oh no, honey, you wrote checks on that hormone that's supposed to help you chill out, relax, and go to sleep. So you're probably not going to have as good a night's sleep. And, too many times in a row, and that's really devastating. I think women are pretty sensitive to, we know what it's like not to get a good night's sleep, right? And it's really, that devastates your whole next day and your cravings and your desire to move more or exercise. And, sleep is, I think, queen, king, queen, everything in between. So if you're not sleeping, I would make every exercise choice that you have about how does it help me sleep more, right?
Amen to that. Man, I'm so glad to hear you say that. So, okay, fantastic. Okay, so what do you have going on that our tribe can get involved in? Tell us what you do. Tell us what you have out there, because I know that there's a lot of people watching tonight. I'm checking my phone here. Yeah, there's a lot. What do you have going? What's going on? Tell us about your website. I'm actually going to put your website up here.
Yeah. So right now we're actually open. We do a new strength training program, and we launch that every quarter. And I, there are so many 4-week and 6-week and 8-week programs, and I went all the way. I do 12 weeks, and part of the reason I do that is, in 12 weeks, we can really see change. You can really get there, and I know that you've got can we swear on this show? We've got a damn good habit going, and that's what I want. I want you to become codependent on, I feel so good, I've got this habit. And in 12 weeks, at some point in that 12 weeks, you will fall off the bandwagon. You will get a hiccup. And then we can help you pick up and get back on, because that's why we stop so many times. We get that obstacle, and then there is no program there. There's no group there. There's no accountability where people haven't heard from you and need to and want to. And it's that, having a group. So we use a Facebook group for accountability, and the members are phenomenal, supporting each other. And we've had it all. We've had it all happen. We've had partners die. We've had, and people share, this is what's going on, and here's how the exercise helped me get through it, and those things, when you hear somebody else say that, you then somehow can do it and pull your skirt up and get back on the bandwagon too. So I keep you in for 12 weeks, and that's intentional, very much so. But it's twice a week, and the workouts are about 30 to 40 minutes each, so reasonable.
Are we doing this all together, or is this recorded? How's this work?
No, you are watching me do a recorded, so it's at your convenience. We have members from all over the world. So you have a password protected members area, and you're logging in, and you have the guidance of, what you're doing in each week to get started, but it's totally at your convenience. Yes.
Okay. And so we have that, and that's on your, okay. And then we have the Facebook community. And then do you get into nutrition or no? Is this straight up? Oh, you do?
Yeah. No, and I do. And here's the thing. So I think, it's really important for all of us to stay within our lane. So I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I don't play one on TV or online.
Yeah.
But because I have a responsibility, I think, when I've got a lot of women in front of me, and that is naturally, when you start exercising really well, and I actually prefer, for somebody who's beginning, keep your blinders on. And if you only change that thing, you only started strength training, you will see benefits.
You bet.
But what will tend to happen is you will start to be more conscious of what you're eating. So the biggest piece that I talk to women about is not under fueling. I've been talking about it all month long. The recovery is very important, and we don't just mean resting or getting a good night's sleep. It's also eating adequate amount of calories, not creating this huge deficit, and we have to be careful with intermittent fasting. Muscles like food. Yeah. They like protein, and they like carbohydrates, and then they like you to be, alkaline. So all the veggies you can handle, and you should not be hungry. You don't need to be, really, right? Yeah.
No, you are so right about that. I was just looking at Lachelle. I'm so glad you're on here, Lachelle. The Cafe member group is a wealth of information and assistance. When I was looking at your website today, I saw that, talking about the cafe. Okay, what is that? So, because you teased us, and now we don't know.
So it is. And so Lachelle is in the Flipping 50 membership. So the cafe, honestly, the cafe was, it takes a village, the place to get your cup filled up kind of thing. It was very cute, and I'm not in love with it. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, I cannot worry about renaming a program right now. So it is still the cafe. Now it's hard to change. But that is where really they're my VIPs. So those are women who have done a program and like, what's next? I want some continuity. I want to keep going, and I want momentum. So we have so many more programs in there, and we do master classes inside that group, and they get a little more group coaching from me live every month. And there's tons of interaction going on in that Facebook group. When we started the pandemic, little did I know it was going to go on for so long, but I began doing yoga every day, and I was doing high interval intensity training, like from my living room with my dog 3 times a week. And then I backed off to 2 times, and then months and months kept going by. And I was like, okay, guys, I can't do this every week live with you anymore. But there are tons of recordings even in our Facebook group. And that's in addition to the members area. So there's Pilates and yoga, there's strength training, there's cardio, but there's also master classes on the why, the kind of like this, the science behind what we're doing. Because I find that women in midlife, we will do the thing as long as we know how does it connect the dots between where I am and where I want to go.
Yes, amen to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't start mid. I mean, we don't just sign up today. You're in 12-week cycles, correct? When does the next one start?
The next one begins July 1st. So actually, we'll get you your special link. Yes, and I would love to see you in there, girl. Right?
Okay, I'm going to do it. I don't need to lose weight. I've already lost all the weight I need to lose, stress from my mom and all that. But I need to tone up. I've got on, well, heck, I have like this kimono thing on, and I might as well have my arms flapping down here because that's how mine look. Jackson made fun of me this week. I'm little, but I'm not honed. I'm in pretty good shape. And so okay, I will do it. July the 1st is perfect because I'm on vacation right then. So I will do it. So do we need to check out your website or what do we? Oh yes, Lachelle, I hear you. I'm gonna do it. I promise.
Now you're tired. Yeah.
So what's the best way for our tribe to get signed up starting July the 1st or whenever next quarter, however they want to do it?
No, well, listen, I absolutely despise that. Hate is a very strong word, but don't anybody sit on the free throw line. So if you're not doing something, you can't do this program. Start something before 90 days from now. Do not sit there and wait. But Dani, let's get you your link for your audience. We'll get you that, and then you can share that with them. Absolutely. And here's the thing. So we will be opening up. We have an open enrollment for the cafe twice a year. But if you're brand new to strength training or brand new to Flipping 50 or me for that matter, I would recommend do the stronger program, the 12-week program first. You can always decide to do the other later, but we can date first before we get married, right?
Woo! That's right. We're going on a second date after we with the first one going. Okay, so guys, what I will do is I will share our link because we were running late getting that link set up, and that was my fault, not Debra's fault. I will share the link on Facebook, and I will send out a newsletter Tuesday. Actually, our next newsletter is coming out. So if we can get it done by Tuesday,
sure.
We'll send it out, and I will start July the 1st because I am just like everyone else. You get going, and then you fizzle, and you need accountability. Here's the thing, ladies. You need accountability. There's a reason, and I'm not a fan of Weight Watchers for crying out loud, but I think they've helped millions of people through the years, so I'm not taking anything away from them. There is a reason Weight Watchers is still around decades later, even when they had all the packaged, processed, bagged, canned, fake food out there known to man. It's accountability. No one wants to be the person. Back when we did it live, well, I didn't, but they came in and you weighed in front of everyone. I mean, for crying out loud, nobody wants to be the person who gained 5 pounds that week. There's accountability with your community, and people heal when they have community. It's as simple as that. I mean, community has been around forever. I mean, and if you believe in Jesus had an amazing community, and community's been around as long as we have. So yes, community, Cindy, amen to that. So all right, guys, listen, anything else that you want to share with us that we need to put up here? First date before we get married. That's right. Come on,
Well,
Teresa. Let's do it together. We Teresa and I are golf part. Well, that's a lie. She's a real golfer. I started taking golf lessons last year. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I'm a horrible golfer, but I love it. I love it. So, and you're a big golfer, Debra.
well, I'm a big golf parent now. Yeah. So I can still manage to whack at it a little bit. But, when you start being a golf parent, there's only so many hours of the day. So you're traipsing around watching somebody else, which is actually still part of the joy of the game. So it's awesome. I wanted to answer a question. Someone asked, is this appropriate for a 47-year-old pre-menopause? Absolutely. So any stage of menopause, less exercise and more food, and definitely the sooner you start strength training, the better ride you're going to have going through it in post-menopause. So absolutely, great question.
Yeah, and I should have done it sooner, because who gets osteoporosis? Skinny white women, as a rule.
Yeah.
I check all those boxes right there. And, they don't have any estrogen. I mean, I do, because I am hormonally balanced, but as a rule, you don't. As a skinny white woman, you think about the Sally Fields of the world who are advertising for Boniva out there for osteoporosis, right? That's who gets it. And so, yeah, we need to start it. But like she said, it's never too late. The studies show even in your 90s, in your 90s, you can start building muscle.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I had someone who at the very end of 2019, she was diagnosed with osteoporosis, and she had found me online. And then lo and behold, she lives 25 miles away. And she said, I didn't know you were here. Can we meet in person? And I really don't do any of that anymore, but sometimes it's just fun to see real people. So this was pre-pandemic. We met for a couple of times, and then pandemic hit. So we met kind of virtually so that I knew she knew what to do at home, because it's paramount. That was her biggest priority. And it's a fear when you hear those words, right? And you actually wonder, what does that mean for me in my future? And she contacted me, and it was almost a year to the day that she had gotten the diagnosis, because she had her next bone scan. Working out at home for 7 months, she increased her bone density following the program.
Wow.
That's unheard of. Yeah.
Well, I was diagnosed with osteopenia, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't have osteoporosis, but yes, I know it works. I mean, I don't have to prove it to anybody. I know it works. What you do works. We've had 2 questions about this.
Actually. Yeah. And somebody else, I think, may have asked about amino acids. I don't know where that would be. So creatine for women in their 50s, I've looked at that research actually within the last month. There's not enough definitive on women in their 50s for me to say that would be something I'd recommend that you consider. I'm not taking it, so there's my both professional and my personal opinion. So I'll leave you with that. I don't think it's a closed book yet. I just don't think that there's enough conclusive evidence. I also don't think that there's anything harmful that we know of from taking it. So there is that. I guess I'm leaving the decision with you. As far as essential amino acids, I do think, and especially for women who will reach one of 2 things. So first, for women who are plant-based entirely, it's going to be almost impossible for you to get adequate amounts of protein in without getting full first.
Yes.
And I would look closely and consider essential amino acids for you. I've been taking them, and I've taken them off and on, and tested now 4 different brands. And I'm always asked this, what do you use? Do you recommend that? And I am never ready to give anything out if I haven't used it, love it, trust it, and And I'm only like Tuesday was the first time I've done it, or Friday. Actually, I let a podcast out and said, here's what I've been doing for the last 6 weeks. So the other thing is women are going to get full. I can't actually eat as much protein as I think that I should have if I'm trying to lose weight. You're sustaining your weight and your muscle mass is one level, but if you want to lose weight, we need more protein as you create that caloric deficit so that you don't lose muscle when you lose the weight. And I can't eat that much. I can't. It's just, there's so many meals and there's a smoothie after a workout, but then you get full. Protein is very satisfying. So that's where I find the other places that you may want to pull in amino acids. I think food first, I'm sure we'd agree on whole food first. That's what you want. But when that can't do it for you, then look to, could this be helpful to you? And if you are taking any medications, you want to check and ask your physician about any interactions and whether this is okay for you.
Absolutely. Girl, I appreciate you. Holy cow, it's already been an hour. Kelly, yes, it would be appropriate for PCOS younger women. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's any woman that your program would not be appropriate for. It's just that she specifically focuses on us. Praise God. Menopausal, postmenopausal women. I mean, I wouldn't trade this season for anything. I don't know how you feel about it. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 55 and I absolutely love this season. I tell women every day who are complaining about the hot flashes, and I know I went through all of this, that, it's a privilege and it's an honor and it's a rite of passage to go through menopause that many women never get the opportunity to go through. And Dr. Christiane Northrup taught that one time, and I was listening to her at a conference, and I've never forgotten it. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and we need to embrace it, and do the things you can do to get through it as gracefully as possible. And the research shows exercise improves your quality of life during the perimenopause and the menopause years and postmenopausal years. So you've nailed it. I wouldn't take anything for this season. I think this is the best season out there. I love it. I mean, the 20s and the 30s were so chaotic for me. I wouldn't go back there for any amount of money. And I feel like I'm in such great shape now. Physically, that's the one thing I'm missing, the muscle tone. And so I'm looking forward. I'm excited. Thank you for all of it. If you have,
I'm so excited. I can't wait to have you in.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a ton of fun. Everyone loved this tonight. So I thank you guys. If you have any questions for Debra, just post them up here. This is on her page as well. So she can answer anything, that you have. But I say, let's join her July the 1st and let's see what happens for 12 weeks. And we'll probably be like Lachelle. We'll just keep signing up and keep signing up. I'm actually canceling her membership. Jackson leaves for medical school July the 1st. What? Oh, that's right. July the 1st. So it's perfect. I'm canceling my membership and signing up with you. So, all right, ladies. I love you guys. It's going to be a great week this week.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Teresa, I'm going to hold you to it. Text me tonight. We're going to join as soon as we get the affiliate out there. But Debra, you have a fabulous week. And thank you for all your knowledge. And guys, go sign up for her newsletter. Go see her Facebook page. I mean, she's got incredible videos out there. And definitely go watch her TEDx talk. It was fantastic. Yeah. She has aged backwards. Okay. You want to look at the power of exercise? She literally is Benjamin Buttons. I swear you look 15 years younger tonight than you did in that TEDx talk.
Oh, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you all. We'll see you later.